All right, here we are, video 3. So this next topic is about confidence, and confidence is something I think there's a fine line between confidence and arrogance, and for me, being more confident has been about me understanding the decisions that I make, why I make the decisions. And for me, I realized that my confidence actually has to do with having the courage to be disliked. And let me explain. And so I want to take you back on a journey. And this was, I remember 2 years ago when I was leaving a relationship after being in a 7-year relationship, and I went on the apps for the first time. And I got matches. I remember it took a while, but eventually they came. And I remember building out my profile in a way that I thought that other people would want to see it. And I intentionally did things like I left the fact that I wanted kids off my profile because I thought just in case I came across someone who actually didn't want kids, and just so that I can have a chance to match with that person. And I know it sounds crazy to think about, but that was my mentality back then. I didn't want to be rejected by anyone, even if it meant that I probably should have been rejected by that person. And I also experienced what a lot of people experience. You know, conversations would start. Some people would just straight up ghost me. I would be in this circle where I would also start to do some of these behaviors of, start conversations, end these conversations. And I went on a few dates, and I remember I felt this really strong desire. And this desire was to please the other person. I wanted to maximize my chances of getting a second date. And I would feel like their needs and wants were the only thing that actually mattered. And I'd feel like my own goal was really just to get another date. And after dating someone for a few months, and so after being on the apps for a while, I eventually started dating somebody, and for about a couple of months. And so things eventually ended. And when things did end, it took me a while to get over that person, as well as some really helpful talks with some friends. And I remember my friend told me something that still stuck with me to this day. And he told me that I am a good catch. And I remember it was really profound when he mentioned that, because it really took me, I really started to look in the mirror, and I started to think about who I am as a person. I think that I'm a really caring person. I think I put a lot of effort in. I think that I'm constantly, trying to find ways to be better and look in the mirror and what I can actually improve. And I actually did think I was a catch. And the reason why this was actually profound for me is because I started to look at myself differently. And I started to look at the way that I approach relationships differently. And I started to think, if there was someone out there that I'd met and they didn't want to be with me for whatever reason, that I was actually okay with it. And I think I started to become a lot more confident in myself. And I think it really had to do with the fact that, and I know it might sound counterintuitive, that starting to feel okay with the fact that other people won't like you is something that actually gave me a lot more confidence. But I think the reason behind it is because once I was okay with being able to be disliked by some people, it really allowed me to figure out a way how to open up and really just start to let in people that were a much better match for me, people that I didn't have to, be afraid of being myself. I started to make sure that my profile was very specific to the things that I actually cared about. And I started to do things like, filtering only for, people that wanted kids. And I started to, and one of the things that I noticed is that I started to be matched with people that I was having really great conversations with, and people that I was able to get along with a lot better than people in the past, when I was just concerned with just being able to get matched with anyone. And I think the lesson here is that being able to be okay with the fact that some people aren't going to like you, or that you might not be a good fit, ultimately for me, and I think for other people as well, is going to create a lot better relationships. And so it's a combination of factors, but I think being able to have confidence in yourself and being able to surround yourself with people that actually lift you up is going to have a really powerful impact in your life. And that's one of the things that I, was aware of even, when I was younger, is just being able to make sure that I didn't really tolerate having people around in my life that didn't really lift me up. And I think that's one of the themes that you're going to notice on this channel, is that the power of having a really good community. And that's it.